Good evening and thank you for joining us. Well, the year is drawing to a close, and what a year it has been. On the economic front, the country has seen a notable rebound, with credit rating agencies upgrading the country standing and lifting it out of the default status. Growth projections have remained strong at above 5%, driven largely by mining and the agricultural sector. Inflation has continued to ease and is on track to reach the targeted single-digit range. Yet challenges persist, with energy deficit standing out as the most pressing issue. On the governance side, debate around the constitutional amendment process has dominated national discourse as the country continues on its constitutional journey. The list is long, but as the year ends, it's time to take stock. My guest this evening, Chief Government Spokesperson Cornelius Mweetwa, who will walk us through this issue and many other governance issues. As always, we'll open the lines and you'll be free to ask questions. Call in on 25 30 25. I'm your host, Grivazio Zulu. Minister, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Grivazio, and thank you for having me.
Well, Minister, the year is ending in 3 weeks' time, and this may be your last appearance on this show this year. And in taking advantage of your presence, how would you summarize the year and probably summarize the last 4 years of the Upnd government in office?
Well, this year has been very eventful, punctuated with the elephant in the room. Load shedding is what has plagued our national conscience as a government. President Hakainde Hichilema has not spared any effort not to address this issue. So that is really, for us, what has been exercising our minds as New Dawn administration under the able leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema. It has been a marathon to try and see how we get our people out of this malaise. That is the issue. But you've spoken about 4 years. 4 years of New Dawn administration of President Hakainde Hichilema has been 4 years of success, in my view, in our view. Looking at where we got the country from in August 2021, where the economy was at -2% GDP growth rate. We moved the economy now to about an average 5.2% GDP growth rate. This is remarkable, and this is not just noticeable by ourselves. The international community as well has noted our progress. Year after year, rating agencies, international organizations of standing repute have given our country kudos. In terms of governance, we have rated on the African continent as one of the best in terms of democracy, in terms of respecting the rule of law. We have also been, as a country, rated highly on the continent in the last 4 years as having the best amongst performing economy on this continent. And as we speak today, only 2 days ago on Friday, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Stumbeko Musokotwani, was talking about our national reserves, 5.5 billion United States dollars. For the very first time, a lot has been achieved under this president. A lot is yet to be achieved between 2026 and 2031 when he will be done. And I can tell you now, Zambia will never be the same again. What we require now is to say we are on the right trajectory. Let's support this president. It's not about him, it's about us as citizens. We must be proud, Grivasio, on the global stage to have a president working for his people. A president who is not salaried, who is not paid to do what he does. Which country has a president who doesn't get a salary? Personally, I'm proud of him. I think you are too. Even those who oppose him, they know he has done what needed to be done. We now have an obligation to unite as a people on one score to maintain the peace and unity of this country. That on that platform will leverage national development. That you and me, when we are done with what we are doing, we should be able to say we have handed over a country to the next generation that we must be proud that we have acquitted ourselves.
Very well.
Thank you.
So, Minister, the major issue now on the table, I did talk about it, and it's on the governance front, and that's probably the elephant in the room now, besides energy, and that's the Technical Committee and Bill 7 and the Constitution Amendment process. Now, the Technical Committee submitted the final report and the draft bill to the President, while government, at the same time, and maybe a day or two after, requested Parliament to retable Bill 7, which has since moved to a stage where a select committee has been put in place and has started working. Briefly explain, where are we with the constitution-making process?
Thank you. The issue of Bill 7 is a pretty straightforward issue, but which perhaps has been politicized. I would like to indicate here that Bill number 7, National Assembly Constitutional Amendment Bill number 7, is not a matter which has been brought to the House, like some people say, hurriedly, for want of time. No. We, as UPND, in 2016, when there was a constitutional amendment in the election year, 2016, election year, we opposed clause by clause the current constitution in its form because of some of its contents we did not agree with. We opposed it. And President HH promised the citizens of this country that once elected, he would endeavor to regularize the Constitution. 2016. 2021, there was a bill called Bill 10, which we, as members of Parliament of the UPND, opposed and shot down in Parliament. For the first time, Grivasio, you had a crop of members of Parliament who were not bought. That's us. And that's UPND. And that's what we stand for. To place country before self. And in 2021, we opposed Bill 10 because it has 72 proposed amendments, many of which were inimical, in our view, to national interest. 30th October 2023, the Member of Parliament for Petauke, Emmanuel Banda, then wrote to the Speaker of the National Assembly informing her of his desire, representing all of us as members of Parliament, that we needed to amend the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia.
Did he mention which clause we're supposed to be amended?
Yes. And we chose him because he was independent, because we didn't want the Constitution to be referred to as a Upnd amendment or a PF amendment in the like manner that we referred to the 1996 Constitution as a MMD Chiruba or, Kaunda parentage Constitution. We chose him together. And the reason we decided that we should amend the Constitution was clear and very simple. We said, we are just coming out of COVID, cholera, and drought. And number 4, default situation. November 2020, we became an international laughing stock as a nation, failing to meet our international balance of payment obligations. And so, when we sat as members of Parliament, we said, how do we amend the Constitution without expending taxpayers' money, because our economy is stressed? That's how we said, let's go for non-controversial issues. And we agreed. Unfortunately.
As politicians, you agreed that those were non-controversial.
As citizens,
probably not the same view from,
as citizens,
from other stakeholders.
And I'll tell you, Agrivacio, in terms of this Constitution, in terms of Article 79, members of Parliament are empowered by election and thereof mandate to amend this Constitution and or any other law. That's what the people have decided through this Constitution.
So I know you've dealt with the history, Minister, but then maybe picking up from that same history, somebody would ask that you go as far back as 2016 in noticing this lacuna in the Constitution, the gaps, and wanting to change them, 2023 wanting to change them. But why did it take you so long only to start a year before the election? Less than a year before the election. That's when now you're taking decisive action.
Thank you. I had just indicated to you, Privazio, that 30th October 2023, we asked J. Banda to inform Madam Speaker that we were desirous to amend the Constitution. It's not now. September 24th, 2023, President Hakainde Hichilema addressed Parliament. And you will recall that he referred to lacunae, that we needed to attend to our Constitution because of lacunae. Simply put, provisions in the Constitution that were not sitting well with the administration of the country, and or that were capable and or had the tendency to provide an opportunity for interpretations that were not certain. And he cited Article 52.6 that in the event that a candidate at presidential level, for instance, withdrew we are likely to plunge country into a constitutional crisis, because our constitution is very clear that elections, presidential and general elections, will be held on a Thursday of the second week of August of that election year. Now, if 2 weeks before, or 2 days before, for that matter, a candidate at presidential level withdraws or pulls out of an election for simplicity, like we saw in 2021, a candidate for Lusaka Central withdrew, and we had nominations, fresh nominations. We saw that in Kabushi. We saw that in Kwacha and elsewhere. And these are realities of a moment. Because in politics, sometimes you have people who are not serious, but because of democracy, they are able to put themselves on the ballot for jokes. Yes.
So these are the things that have motivated you to push for this constitutional amendment.
The motivation is really preservation of national peace, predictability of an election, and the integrity thereof of such an election. So President HH, and I know posterity will honor him, because otherwise a president in incumbency would actually leave a constitution like this one, which is vague, which provides an opportunity for a sitting government to manipulate itself back into power. President HH says, no, let's do the right things. Because if this Article 52(6) is left, who benefits? Isn't it an incumbent president that there is a withdrawal of a candidate and you will now have time to look at where you're going? But President HH, like I've said earlier on, and people must pay attention to him, he is not a politician. He is a missionary with a mission to change the course for the life of our country. And when you have a president who wants to remove an inadvertent advantage to himself for the nation, that is a president we must support. Article 103 of this constitution talks about an election petition, that in the event of an electoral petition, presidential electoral petition, that it shall be heard within 14 days. And it doesn't talk about when judgment should be given. This President HH says, let's rectify this so that in 2026, if there is an electoral petition,
it should be determined in good time.
It must be heard and determined. Those are the proposals in Bill number 7.
So now, where are we? I want you to bring you up to what is happening currently. Where are we in terms of dealing with the amendment of the Constitution?
Thank you, Gravario. Allow me also, under 2 minutes, to indicate that the major changes we are looking at include to take members of parliament back to councils, because we as members of parliament now don't sit in councils. We don't determine how CDF is used. We don't determine land allocation. We don't determine delegated legislation by councils. Yet we are held accountable by our electorates over those things for which we have no say in materiality. 2, members of parliament are all agreed and desirous that we need to delimitate certain constituencies that have such a vast expanse that, as we sit today, some members of parliament are referred to as absentee members of parliament because their constituencies are too huge, so large for them to manage. And remember, Prevazio, we are not given any money as members of parliament to traverse our constituencies. We do it at personal level. So members of parliament are saying those constituencies like Asempa, 22 wards, like Kanchibia and others need to be delimited. I know there is some concern out there to say, but we need to know which constituencies are going to be delimited. Maybe HH just wants to create more constituencies in his strongholds. President HH doesn't have a stronghold. President HH's stronghold is the whole country. And so he will treat each and every province and every constituency equally. And that is why you have seen his delivery method. You have seen his appointment to cabinets fair. Even in provinces where he didn't get a single member of parliament, he equalized through the 8 appointed, or nominated members of parliament.
Are you not contradicting yourself when you say the party, Upnd, has no stronghold, and yet in some areas you're saying where you don't have an MP?
I'm saying...
That means that's not your stronghold.
I'm saying
because
today,
you don't have a member of parliament there.
I'm saying today, Grivazio, get me correctly. I'm talking about the president, that his stronghold is the whole country, not members of parliament. Remember that...
The party has a stronghold there.
No. Remember, Grivazio.
Two different things.
No. Remember, Grivazio, that the president won the provincial vote for Northern Province.
That's what I'm saying. The president is a different story.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because the party didn't have an MP in some of the provinces.
That is what I'm talking. I'm not talking about the party, Grivazio.
An area where you are weak.
I'm not talking about the party. I'm talking about the president. The president won in Kwacha in 2021, but the MP was PF. Bino Mpundu Nkana is independent, but the presidential vote is HH. Northern Province, we got very few members of parliament, but the presidency went to HH. That's what I'm talking about. So, where we are now, this president says, because of the enhanced CDF, to take money to the local areas, those constituencies that are so huge, let us delimit it. And in fact, it's not even President HH, so to speak, who is asking, it's the citizens. Because we had this debate, Grivazio, and we must be honest about this. At the amphitheater of the National Assembly of Zambia, all members of parliament, we sat there and agreed that for us to cure, there was a question. How do we have a constituency like Momba in Monze? Momba constituency has 4 wards. Choma has 16 wards. Kazempa, 22 wards. Kanchibia, 22 wards. Why should we have CDF, same amount of money, but different geopolitical configuration, and also population difference. Members of parliament said, no, let's say those constituencies with more people should have more money. But there was also a question to say, a constituency like Mandevu, for instance, has more people. Sometimes Mandevu can actually have more people like, or more than some province. So that question to see how national cake should be distributed is what brought us to say, how do we resolve this? Because it was not agreeable that we should give a particular constituency more money than another. Hence our resolution as parliamentarians to say, let's delimit it so that each constituency can get a share. This is
the
in
basis
tandem
for pushing delimitation. But then there's an argument on the other side. The CSOs that have said that could be a flawed argument because you don't need to change the constitution to allocate money. And CDF is probably 5% of the national budget. And then should that trigger a change in the constitution? What do you need? Others have said what you need is more districts because then they oversee the administration of development, and an MP is one person who may not have the entire structure to oversee the development. So do you need an MP? Do you need a district? Do you need the constitutional change to allocate money?
Well, that question is interesting. I'll tell you that this has been the rallying cry for the people, that their elected representatives should interact with them, should take development. It is not our initiation. I don't think that well-meaning CSOs are averse to this particular proposal. It is a national interest. It is the people. To sit there in parliament, to represent people, you have a mandate. But not just a mandate to sit there. You must take development. The New Dawn administration has done something so profound and remarkable. President HH told the nation, we want to take resources away from the center of Lusaka into the local areas so that people can feel, can touch development. That is where we are today. You must have also seen on social media that colleagues from the previous administration, when they were in government, spoke about amendment of the constitution to provide for delimitation. They did. That is what they were canvassing over Bill number 10. Except there were many other things that they clubbed together with that noble cause, which we opposed. Which
made you oppose it. But
they had provided for 72 amendments to the Constitution. We have provided for or proposed just 13 amendments. And as we speak now today, I can tell you, Cabinet received the report of the technical committee with a late draft bill for consideration. And Cabinet resolved, in accordance pursuant to the law, in terms of Standing Order 122 of the National Assembly of Zambia 2024, that you cannot introduce a fresh bill during the time and subsistence of a bill which has already been introduced before the floor of the House, whose objects are similar to the one you are about to. So that lay bill which the technical committee introduced cannot be taken to Parliament. And in fact, as a matter of fact, they were not given that mandate in terms of
drafting a bill.
No, not drafting, the terms of reference to go that far. But they did that to codify their thoughts and their views as gathered from the public into a bill to consolidate a position. And as government, we welcome that, and Cabinet resolved that that report and that lay bill will be presented before the select committee, and the technical committee will be given an opportunity to present before the select committee raw data, so that we do not gerrymander, we should not adulterate, we should not doctor the views of the people. They will present themselves before the select committee, which is a committee representative of the whole country in terms of the whole 10 provinces, in terms of representation. It's not a UPND committee. It is the National Assembly of Zambia. So they will present, but I'll tell you.
What would the select committee be looking at? Bill 7 or the technical committee report? Both.
The select committee will be looking at Bill number 7, which has been restored on the order of business of the House. Bill number 7. And the reason is simple. In terms of Standing Order 122, which I have alluded to hitherto, we can't introduce another bill during this period. If we had to introduce another bill, it will have to be after 2026 elections. But look here, Revisio.
Isn't that what other NGOs have been calling for? That other stakeholders, that why don't you wait until after elections? Then other important question, when did you know that you couldn't take another bill to Parliament?
We always knew.
Why then did you allow the technical committee to go around and ask people? When you knew all along you were just going to restore Bill 7, which you had deferred?
Grivasio, the issue is this. Bill number 7 was simply deferred. We never withdrew Bill number 7.
Simply deferred on recommendation of the court?
No. Not on a recommendation of the court.
On instruction from the court?
No. The court made a pronouncement that in terms of amendments of Bill number 7, there was a requirement for wider consultations. And that issue, we must address it. Two issues that have to be had at the back of our mind. One, that the law cannot ask you to do what you have already done. So, that pronouncement by the court was a pronouncement, as lawyers we say, made later in the day.
It was an order.
It wasn't an order. It was
I want to quote that, Minister. We order the respondent complies with the spirit of the Constitution by ensuring a people-driven process led by an independent body of experts in conducting the consultations with the people. At that point, the technical committee was not in place.
And I will tell you this. That pronouncement was made by the court. The court, in making rulings, they are made by human beings. I don't want to sound like averse and disrespectful to the court, but I'll tell you that was erroneous. Because
you now think the Constitutional Court didn't make a correct ruling?
Article 79(3) is instructive on this matter. Article 79(3) is instructive. There is a requirement for wider consultation only when you have a question to do with amendment of the Bill of Rights. And a government must conduct a national referendum where 50% of eligible voters must say yes to that national question. And that is why in 2016 we had a referendum. Because
now that was an issue to do with the Bill of Rights.
Because the government then sought to amend the Bill of Rights. The law is instructive that wider consultation has to be had if you want to tamper with the Bill of Rights. Because, Grivasio, this constitution, this one, has by and large two parts. One, provisions, ordinary provisions, and also the Bill of Rights. All other provisions of this constitution outside the Bill of Rights are merely provisions, and in terms of Article 79(1) can be amended by Parliament straight, because when parliamentarians sit there gathered, they wield a mandate of representation, and one of those representative etiquettes, one of those representative mandates is to amend the Constitution and any other law. They are mandated by Parliament. But when it has to do with Part 3, Bill of Rights, human rights, you need wider consultation.
Let's take it that
so,
maybe it was an erroneous decision, Minister, but then you did oblige and eventually set up a technical committee. And again, when you talk about, you didn't challenge this ruling. So I want to read it to you, because you didn't challenge it. So you've got a number of recommendations there, 53, and it told you as government, in our considered view, a process which seeks to amend the Constitution in the absence of evidence of a consensus following wide consultation with the people cannot promote democracy, good governance, and constitutionalism as espoused in the Constitution. And 54, we have noted the respondents' argument that the proposed amendments relate to non-contentious issues. And then the court says we are not convinced, more so as even so-called non-contentious issues can change the Constitution fundamentally. The only way to properly protect the Constitution is to take every amendment process through a wide consultation process with the people at inception. And that you didn't do.
I think that I have addressed that matter. Rivasio. The Article 76 of this Constitution of the Republic of Zambia gives exclusive jurisdiction to the National Assembly of Zambia to conduct its business, and chief of that business is lawmaking without interference from anybody, including the court. So,
which is supposed to provide checks and balances to you.
Yes.
To you as a legislature.
But me, I'm talking about the Constitution. It's the Constitution which gives exclusive jurisdiction to the National Assembly. So the court, as one of the arms of government, come in to make pronouncements of what that National Assembly pass as law, because we say it's not law until the courts say so. But sometimes the courts make erroneous decisions That is why there is an
which you're
appeal
free
process.
to challenge. And you didn't challenge that.
I can tell you that.
But instead, you went ahead and formed the technical committee. But quickly, Mr. Minister, I want us to move to make people understand.
Before we go there,
technical committee report.
Before we go there, Grivazio, the court's pronouncements were made after the fact. Government had already withdrawn, not withdrawn, had already deferred Bill number 7. So the pronouncements that the courts were making, it's like pushing an open door. Government had already
Why
acted.
did you defer the law?
To provide for wider consultations, because President HH is a listening.
In line with the guidance
president.
by the court.
The court made guidance after government had already done what the court sought and purported to instruct. So government was in terra firma, firm ground. And in terms of Bill number 7, which is the issue you are asking me now, Bill number 7.
Maybe I should ask you, didn't you see it as government as working in reverse? Introduce the bill, defer it, go to consult, go back and lift the same bill and put it back on the table. So why were you consulting?
Consultation was meant to provide for a window of opportunity for those people, entities, organizations that had concerns that Bill number 7 was not inclusive, was not widely participatory. So President HH instructed, no, let's hear our people. Because remember, Bill number 7 is widely supported. But in a democracy, you have to respect even minority views. And that's why you have seen, for the first time, Grivazio, the student movement have broken ranks with the Oasis Forum, because they, as the students, want youth representation in parliament. They, as students, want more women representation in parliament. Today, as we speak, are we not guilty that out of 156 elected seats in parliament, we only have 17 women? 17. Bill number 7 seeks to address that mischief. How many youth do you have in that parliament? The youngest is the MP for Nalolo. He came into parliament at 33 years, like me. I also went to parliament at 33 years. But who are the majority in this country? Isn't it the youth? Isn't it the women? The differently abled? Their concerns, why should we prescribe for them and not them participate? Article 259, Article 173 of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia seeks equalization in terms of representation. The SADC protocol on gender representation is instructive, and us as a country, we're a signatory. But back home, when we come here, how do we actualize that? Bill number 7 is a panacea answer. And I'm perplexed where you see me here, Grivazio. President HH is concerned that the NGOCC, which for all its lifespan has been known to stand for and represent women, that we must have more women in decision making, in parliament represented, in councils represented, have now decided to go to bed in an unholy alliance with enemies of interest of women. That's shocking. For me, who has been, and I am, the chairperson for Men's Parliamentary Network on Gender, to help the gender agenda am disturbed, President HH is disturbed to have an NGOCC which opposes to increase number of women.
But NGOCC has always been a member of the Oasis Forum.
They have
and
been.
They usually take collective responsibility, collective action.
I don't know.
And then maybe just to
let me answer that.
Just to buttress that question, Minister.
Let me answer before you ask.
Your proposal
Grivajo
talks about 20 women restricted reserved seats.
No, before you ask me that question, because these are serious issues, Grivajo, let me answer that question you are raising, because we shouldn't brush off issues. You have said NGOCC represent women, just like Law Association of Zambia represent lawyers. I can now tell you that I'm a member of Law Association of Zambia. LAS has never called a meeting to ask us as lawyers our views over proposed amendments. Over Bill 10, LAS of that time called a meeting at the Intercontinental Hotel. Myself and Honorable Jack Mwimbo, State Counsel, stood for opposing Bill 10. The late Honorable Tutu Ngurube, and may he so rest in peace, my brother, and Makebi Zulu, stood for Bill 10. Unfortunately, that conversation did not see the end of day because PF thugs attacked Hotel Intercontinental, stabbing people, beating people, snatching phones. But the point is,
has that been the modus operandi for
LAS called for a meeting?
Every time
today we have a LAS which goes out there to hold an opinion. Of course, they represent us.
Hasn't LAS operated like that all the time?
No.
Apart from the one you've cited. Let's go back in time. During the Chiluba third term, did they call an AGM to discuss that?
Let's work with reality of the moment. This particular LAS we have should call lawyers, ask us, what are your views? They are just all over, issuing statements. We as LAS, who is LAS? It's us. Have they asked us? They have not. And that is why, Grivajo, I can now tell you this, that when you look at constitutional making and amendments of the Constitution, there has never been a time in memory where you are already agreed there is no controversy or disagreement. In 1996, over the parentage clause, there was debate, and I was first-year student at the University of Zambia. In 2001, when President Frederick Chiluba wanted to attempt a third term, and may he so rest in peace, it's us, the students, who demonstrated for 2 days, and at the end of the second day, former President Chiluba said, I have brought down my intentions to contest. I am not going for a third term. Ahead of 2006 elections, Grivajo, you recall, there were constitutional calls. There were meetings by the opposition, by the Freedom Statue. And I was president of the University of Zambia Students' Union, leading that charge. Students have always been on the right side to be voices for the voiceless. For the first time, Grivajo, you have students student presidents, Nipa, Kobusu, Unzasu, everywhere, referring to a head of state as a friend for the first time, because he has done what students wanted to be done. On this score, we feel and we think as government we're on firm ground. We are with the majority of citizens. The idea of opposing anything that government brings to the table is so opaque and archaic. There must be things that opposition, including their surrogates masquerading as CSOs or any other ism and or affiliation, should say yes to this. That is the time we will take country to the next level.
I want you to deal with this, Minister. The people that have supported the bill were convinced that their inputs and submissions will be taken care of by ensuring that the draft bill is presented to Parliament. Now, how do you assure them that the 11,864 public submissions received during the committee's travels and public sittings will be attended to?
That issue, Grivasio, we as executive, under the direction of the President, have said the the technical committee should give raw data. That's what I told you earlier on, to the select committee. But the law is also guiding that we cannot introduce another, bill relating to objects that are already contained in a bill that is already before Parliament. So, parliamentary debate are live on Parliament Radio and on Parliament TV. And I think for this score, maybe we should consider that when they sit, it should also be live on ZNBC. There is nothing to hide. And I can now tell you, here and now, that Cabinet received the technical committee report and the lay draft, considered it, except that even where Cabinet agreed with the technical committee, those changes or amendments could not be and cannot be effectuated
into the Bill 7.
Bill 7, because that is a preserve of Parliament, because the bill is already before Parliament. So, the main things contained now in Bill number 7 are 6. The critical things. 1, delimitation, which we have spoken about. Number 2, women, youth, and differently abled representation. Number 3, members of Parliament to go back into the councils. Number 4, to ensure that mayors, council chairpersons do not have a cap or a limit to their term of office. Number 5, Article 103, to ensure that the electoral petition shall be heard and determined. Number 6, Article 52, 6, to do away with or refine and stabilize the issue to do with renomination. Do away with that or put it in the texture that the citizens want. The technical committee, and I must be careful here because the bill is before the House, and as an MP, I shouldn't be debating a bill. But I'm not debating the bill, I'm debating the technical committee report. There was a question to do with by-elections that President HH was desirous, like citizens, that we must find a way to mitigate over these by-elections that are so costly to the taxpayer. The technical committee recommended that by-elections should continue because that is the sovereign power of citizens to decide at every time who should be their councillor, MP.
So when you talk about the technical committee, you're basically saying the people.
So,
because those are people's views.
That's an important point I'm making, Grivasio. The issue with by-elections, that there was a proposal in Bill number 7 to replace an MP and councillor, has been done away with. Cabinet resolved that we have to go with the technical committee and the people's wishes that by-elections continue, because we shouldn't usurp the people's sovereignty power, their adult suffrage, to choose who should be their leader. The Bill 7, which will be on the floor of the House as it is now, is non-controversial.
So you've already taken that up. Are you aware? I know you're aware. You've read the technical report. The people and the technical committee report reflect that they also don't want you in the councils. Is that something you discussed as well in cabinet?
Yes. Yes, we did.
You've made a position?
Well, the issue is this.
They don't want you in the councils as MPs.
The issue is this. We are elected and held accountable locally. And I can tell you what makes many MPs not be re-elected back, despite what we do, like now, at national level. For our people, what I am doing now may not count. May not be as important as their local issues. So, representation means carrying the views of the people at grassroots level. So it is that we must also be in those councils to make decisions that affect the people who elect us.
The people who elected you have spoken through the technical committee that they don't want you back in there, probably maybe because you're going to take politics into the councils.
Yes. You know, this is a consultative process, and it's a give and take. So, you can't get wholesome. They have views. The technical committee brought views. There are also people.
No, the people brought views.
Yes.
The citizens.
Yes, I mean the technical committee, the citizens through the technical committee. But we also have views, Grivasio.
As a minority?
No, we are elected. All of us as members of parliament sat at the amphitheater of parliament and agreed that let's amend the constitution by way of non-controversial issues so that, and cognizant of the fact that our economy is stressed, we should not expend taxpayers' money. But you have seen, Grivasio, let me ask you this question. For a member of parliament to go back to the council to determine how CDF, enhanced CDF is utilized, how land should be allocated, how delegated legislation should be promulgated, for a member of parliament to say, Article 256, that we should not have that ambiguity. We should be clear that in an election, if you withdraw, perhaps you fall out, you fall out and the election continues, so that there should be no national constitutional crisis. Are you telling me that you need to send people to go around and ask people, Does this make sense? No. Logic dictates. 1. 2. Members of parliament are elected on the basis of a mandate. And that is why earlier on I spoke to you about provisions in the Constitution, those that are mere provisions and those that are entrenched. The Bill of Rights provisions are entrenched, meaning you can't amend them until you do wider consultations. On the amendments being proposed, there is no legal requirement for wider consultation. But by practice, because in the preamble, the Constitution says, we the people give unto ourselves this Constitution, there is need to garner minimum national
consensus.
And that is what President HH did by setting up a technical committee that once on, I think that was 26th June 2025, Bill number 7 was deferred. He said, come, let's sit, let's talk. Unfortunately, this is an absurd and bizarre circumstance that it looks like some people feed off politics, that unless you disagree, there can't be politics. No, we can also agree there still be politics.
There still be politics.
On this issue, we must be agreed that we need these amendments because Article 52(6) and Article 103 to do with renomination and electoral petition respectively stand at the front edge of the maintenance of an election of integrity and guaranteeing peace of a country, because every election is a potentially hazardous opportunity to destabilize national stability, national peace, and
Minister,
also to affect development.
We may need to take in calls, but I want us to take a break, and after that, I want you to come back to answer how far can the select committee go in changing the complexion of Bill 7 by adopting what has been proposed by the technical committee. But then let's take a break, and when we're back, we'll also take in calls.
From trending music of rising musicians to the breathtaking moves of young athletes and the vibrant expression of local artists, ZNBC is the stage where Zambian talent shines. With extensive coverage reaching even the most remote communities, we bring music, sports, and the arts to every corner of the nation, connecting dreams to opportunities. Thanks to your TV levy contributions, ZNBC continues to uplift and showcase Zambia's creative spirit. Thank you for supporting local talent. ZNBC, just for you.
During health advisories and emergencies, families rely on ZNBC for timely and accurate information. Your TV levy contributions help us stay a trusted source in times of crisis. Thank you for safeguarding our communities. ZNBC, just for you.
There is a place where every word speaks to you in the languages you cherish. A place where your favorite programs comes wrapped in the comfort of your mother tongue.
Sopano mwayamba kumva zomwe takukonzerani mchinyanja.
Welcome to ZNBC Radio 1, a radio station that not only broadcasts in 1 but in 7 major languages.
Kimene kuitana wabe namuraka wa Chikaonde ni anu ya bonse mumva Chikaonde moya Zambia n'itanda yonse ya panshi.
Ndiyimpinji yakutilila kuma programs amuyidimindi alunda.
Covering every part of Zambia. Your roots are always within reach with our diverse programs, bringing the heart of your village right to your doorstep. Catch the latest news, captivating shows, and sports highlights, all in the languages that feels like home. Here to educate, entertain, and inform while keeping it 100% traditional. From sunrise to sunset, every word and every beat honors the culture and tradition, because home is where the heart is. ZNBC Radio 1, feel at home.
Welcome back. You're watching Sunday Interview, and today we're looking at the Constitutional Amendment process vis-a-vis Bill 7 and the Technical Committee report. Right now on the line, we have Joe from Mundola. Joe, welcome to the program.
Good evening, Gravazio.
Good evening. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable.
Good evening, Joe. Thank you.
This is Mlonda. First of all, Honorable, do you agree with the Gravazio that the majority of the people do not want you, members of the public, to sit in councils? Because your answer seems as if you are agreeable with him. Secondly, the church, during the CF, what is this, Bill 10, what role did they play? Did they do the same as it is now, the way they are now rejecting Bill 7? Did they do the same the way they on your side as thank you.
Thank you, Joe Mulonda from Mundola. Minister, you can pick those two questions.
Thank you very much, Gravazio, and thank you, Mr. Mulonda from Ndola. The question to do with the members of parliament sitting in the councils. Firstly, like I had hitherto alluded, all members of parliament seated in that National Assembly, in the amphitheatre, we resolved, pursuant to our mandate of representation, that we needed to sit in councils so that when we come to the National Assembly, we are getting issues from the councils to the National Assembly for legislation. How can we just come to the National Assembly to promulgate issues when we are detached from the areas where we are elected? So that is a no-brainer. That is a no-debate issue. It is a straightforward matter, and every member of parliament, including those who may vote against Bill 10 for political expedience, agree. Number two, the church, did they do over Bill 10 that they are doing over Bill 7? Yes.
They're standing in the same place.
Yes, but the issues are different. I said earlier on that Bill 10 had 72 articles which they wanted to amend, including maiming rights of citizens, such as, Gravazio, you are a public service worker. They had provided in Bill number 10 that if you want to stand as a member of parliament for Joma Central yourself, you needed to resign from ZNBC 2 years before that election. That is diametrically at variance with the spirit and provision of the Bill of Rights, the right to associate. Those are the things which made us oppose Bill number 10.
We've got a caller. We've got a caller online. I don't know if you would want to take him together with as you answer. Chuba from Lusaka. Please go ahead, ask your question. Kindly be brief.
Good evening, Minister.
Good evening, sir. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for articulating the issues well. My comment is on the members of parliament to go into the councils. I'm not seeing the danger there. Probably the question could be, Minister, from the raw data from the technical committee, what are the misgivings of the people that we are submitting for members of parliament to be part of the committees that sit at council level to make certain decisions on even how the CDF money should be used? In that, the members of parliament, we have elected them and we have trusted them as the majority of the Zambians to represent us. What are the fears for us, for them to contribute while decisions are being made in the council?
Thank you.
What were the submissions made? What were the main issues why people are skeptical that the MPs should not be allowed in the council? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister. There's a question there. Have you read the report?
Yes.
Did you get the reasons why?
Yes. Thank you very much for that call. My response is simple. Fears are genuine that members of parliament should not be a court unto themselves. That is to say, they should not determine everything, sit in the council, and also play a role as one to provide checks and balances. So the rationale was to say members of parliament should not sit in the council where CDF, for instance, is dispersed, so that they can oversight
the implementation,
the utilization and all. Because if you are part of it, how do you hold yourself accountable? That is the rationale. But then the issue is this. A member of parliament is not there to provide checks and balances. The member of parliament is there to be an implementer. That's why you chose him.
They also argue that the member of parliament is not an implementer of developmental projects. A member of parliament is a legislator.
Oversight.
You're supposed to be making laws and not implementing development.
Oversight over the work of the council and the member of parliament should be done by other institutions and entities. That is why today, when CDF committee sits to make decisions, Anti-Corruption Commission is there. That is their role. So let us not usurp the power and obligation of a member of parliament to represent their people as they were elected. I have never gone to Choma Central constituency, revise you, to promise people that I want to do this in Munali, I want to do this in Kanchibia, I want to do this in Solwezi. I promise them I want to do this in Choma.
Shouldn't we be talking about strengthening districts?
I must sit
such
in
that when the resources get to there, the council is able to implement without the MP going there to push them. But before you answer my question, I want to get in a caller. Chimunya from Livingston, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, muzezo mubotoyo wakutola ma MPs ku council so that ikababona ichitika ma councils. So there's nothing like kube kuyo kutola ma councils, otherwise it's a very good idea. So bebo personally ndajiweza kuba jintu chitika botwa.
Thank you, Chimunya, thank you. So there you've got somebody supporting.
Yeah, he's simply saying he agrees with the rationale to take for members of parliament to go back to the council. And also, remember that this is the first time after 2016 elections or constitutional amendment that we have had members of parliament out of the council. And this is part of the reason why, clause by clause, you remember we spent the whole night at parliament, clause by clause, we objected to this constitution because this document was forced on the people. I was the chairperson for the legal committee, which received submissions from LAS, from NGOCC, from civil society, church, everyone. The document we scrutinized and interrogated was not the one which was brought before the House. And that's why we are in this quagmire.
You were dribbled.
They use the arrogance of numbers. We don't
which you want to use?
We don't want to use the arrogance of numbers. We want to use reason. We want to be agreed. A constitution is a living document which must carry the spirit and aspirations of the people. President HH presently is the one steering that ship to ensure that the right things are done.
Thank you, Mr. There's a caller, Mr. Zulu from Kabwe. Let's go ahead, ask your question.
My question is, it's not a question as such, it's just a contribution. For example, when we come to like Kabwe Central, we always told to say, it's like we've never had people, or I don't even know who under Kabwe Central constituency has ever gotten a loan. And what we are told is that the directors and those people who are in control at the council are saying there's no one who is eligible when they are asked by the MP, meaning that the MP is not or does not have power to control the CDF issue money. So it is important that the MP should go back to the council so that he can be part and parcel of decisions that should be made. Otherwise, Kabwe Central will never had anyone that has gotten a loan because of the directors that have been working with the previous government. Sorry to say that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zulu. Of course, they'll need to probably verify those statistics and those statements.
Well, for me, I think that, first of all, thank you, Mr. Zulu. I think that is in sync and in agreement with what we are talking about here. But I do not need to regurgitate what he has already stated, save for me to use this opportunity to add on an issue which was raised earlier on by the previous caller on the role of the church. That for us, under the able leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, we continue to work with the church hand in glove. Yes, they are not elected, but they are anointed. The role they play is indispensable to the governance of our country. And President Hakainde Hichilema respects that. And that is why he has indicated to country that he treats all churches same. There is no big church, there is no small church. They are all part of a fabric, the mosaic of the body politic of the Lord Jesus Christ. So, on that score, we, as guided by the President, take this opportunity to urge primarily our supporters and those who may not necessarily be our supporters, but they disagree with those who disagree with Butane, that let us not insult the church leadership, let us not call them names. When it was convenient at some time, we worked hand in glove with the church. So today, the church should not be demonized and characterized as enemies of HH, enemies of government. No, they are just playing their role, except we have a view divergent from themselves. Just like students, for the first time, have a president they call a friend and are determined to support him because he means well.
Let's get in a caller from Mansa. Macmillan, go ahead and ask your question.
Good afternoon, Honorable.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. So, for me, I just want to make a contribution on the issue of member of parliament going back into the councils. I think there's a lot.
Macmillan, are you still online?
Yes. So I'm proposing that the MPs should go back, and the reason is I think there's a lot that is going on in these councils that really needs member of parliament to go back and make decisions. What the minister is saying is truly right, because member of parliament need to be part of what is happening there. And when they are not there, it's very difficult for them to really decide.
Thank you, Macmillan.
The procedures. So for me, I second that should be very much considered.
Thank you so much, Macmillan. So as you respond to that, I want you to also, you've looked at the report as cabinet, and there are a number of issues the report may not agree with the Bill 7 itself. One of them, the committee says ministers must be appointed outside Parliament. Bill 7 is silent on that. And it also talks about the seats that you proposed to be reserved were 35, and it proposes 40 and revises the numbers to 16, 12, and 12. And yours was 20, and the disabled were only 3. And it also talks about elected MPs, pushes them to 226. And Bill 7 proposes 211. Did you discuss these, and did you make any position as government on what you want to see? Ministers being appointed outside Parliament.
Thank you, Grivazio. I'd like to indicate here that Cabinet exercised its mind on all these issues. They want to do with Cabinet outside Parliament is not even just this Mushabati Technical Committee recommendation. It has been a consistent call by the citizens. You go down the lane of history, you will find that people have been calling for this. Citizens want this. Within the SADC region, within our region, there are countries that have this provision, such as Kenya. There are challenges there. Because when you go to campaign, you hold yourself out with an undertaking that we shall do this. Vote for us, vote for me, I'll do this. Yet, if cabinet from outside Parliament is effective, it means a person who may not have been on the ground to ask for a vote will be a minister to promulgate policies for which no electorate will hold them accountable. It will be those who went to the people who will be held accountable. That is the challenge, which is with cabinet outside Parliament.
That is from a selfish point of view.
No. It's not selfish.
Allow me to call it that.
No. Let me put this in context, Grivaz. It's not selfish.
But the people out there, like you say yourself, in most of the review commissions, they've said they want ministers from outside Parliament.
But you know what I've
because they want to create serious checks and balances.
I have put both positions here to say the people want this, it makes sense, but there is also the other side. I'm not saying this provision should not go through. Cabinet, when exercising its mind on this one, said...
As an interested party?
Yes, Cabinet said, let this go to the select committee, let the people talk, let us hear what the people will say, but being mindful that in terms of law making and amendments, whatever will come through on the floor of the House for the whole House's committee must be part of the objects of the bill currently in issue. So Cabinet has been magnanimous under the direction of President HH that let us allow the people to talk. That is why the technical committee Cabinet resolved under the direction of President Hakainde Hichilema to say, let the technical committee go and present raw data so that the People's House will determine what must be put in those amendments, provided it's not us, but the law, that such should be in line with the objects of the bill currently on the floor of the House.
We have Mr. Male on the line. Mr. Male from Lusaka, go ahead and ask your question. Mr. Male, are you still on the line?
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Please go ahead and ask your question.
How are you, sir? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mwale.
Yes, my question is going to Mr. Mweetwa. Hello.
Yes, I can get you, Mr. Male. Just go ahead to make your contribution. We're getting you.
Okay, it's just a question to Honorable Mweetwa. Honorable, why is it that you can't give room to citizens to speak with you?
Mr. Male, you're too close to your microphone. We can barely get you. You're too close to your phone.
Okay, let me call back again.
We can get you now. You're clear.
Okay. My question goes to Mr. Honorable Mweetwa. Mr. Mweetwa, I've actually followed you in and out from the start up to this time. My question is very simple, somehow very cardinal. Why is it that you can't get what the citizenry is speaking unless what you speak should be gotten? That's my very simple question. I was with you, Unza. We used to call you Maskono. And believe you me, you did a very good job when you were by Unza. But right now, what you're doing, Mr. Mweetwa, is a very good job. But the bottom line and the truth of the nature is, why can't you give room to citizens, listen to them, abide by what the citizens are saying? Because you are running a country. The best thing you can do is to listen from them. Why can't you listen from them? Thank you.
Mr. Male, thank you so much. So as you answer, Mr. Male, I want you to really take the question I'd asked you. To what extent can Bill 7 change with the input from the technical committee? I want you to combine that with Mr. Male.
Thank you, Gururazio. Bill 7 will be amended, can be amended by Parliament. It is a jurisdiction and province exclusively designed and desired by the citizens for them in terms of Article 76 of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. serve to indicate that to bring issues in Bill 7 that are not part of the objects contained in Bill 7 is untenable. So that should go to let the citizens know that, in fact, there will be no new issues to be sneaked into Bill number 7 or constitutional amendments. It is just those issues that have been proposed and any other such issues incidental to and connected with Bill number 7. Mr. Mwale says, why can't you listen to the citizens? President Hakainde Hichilema is a listening president. That is why, notwithstanding that us, and I must declare interest, I'm using I too much, us as members of parliament resolved that we should amend the constitution without wasting taxpayers' money over non-controversial matters. President HH said, Kwenyu, go ahead. The issues in issue, Mr. Mwale, are non-controversial. And we are responding to the citizens. Remember also that we are also citizens. But we are in a position where we must hear those who are not in our position, because we act on their authority. So, the majority of the citizens, Mr. Mwale, 11,860, I think, of those citizens who took time to make submissions before the technical committee, the issues we are talking about, they spoke to them. And by and large, are agreed. So, we are listening to the citizens. And we are doing what should be done. As an elected government, I shudder to think, Grivasio, there is any genuine citizen out there who means well, who is not conflicted by some affiliation, such as political, that they want this country to go to elections 2026 with a constitution, and in particular, Article 52.6, where Sean Tembo is my friend, can withdraw from that presidential election, knowing very well that he can't win, and plunge the nation into a constitutional crisis. I don't think there is a well-meaning opposition leader out there who wants us to go into 2026 general elections with Article 103 relating to a presidential electoral petition that it provides presently that the Concord shall hear, without giving a definite and predictable condition that shall hear and determine. So we are just saying determine. So these are the crux of the matter of Bill number
7. And that's what you want to be resolved. We've got less than 5 minutes, Minister, but I wanted you to take this question on delimitation. The technical committee has recommended delimitation and delineation, but adds a rider there and says it must be done in a transparent process, through a transparent process. Now, the bigger question is, why is the demonstration report being held as a secret document?
Thank you. I don't think that the delimitation report is being held as a secret. First of all, Article 58 of this Constitution provides that within a period of 10 years, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, should review boundaries of wards and constituencies. This country last did that more than 10 years. If we don't do it now, we will be in breach of Article 58 to review. This is the constitution we have presently. It is mandatory for the ECZ to review those boundaries of constituencies. It's not President HH, it's not UPN, it's a constitution.
And the people do agree with you, Minister, but the question that they're asking is, why do you want people to go to debate that aspect of delimitation without really understanding where are you cutting?
Thank you. Very easy.
And which constituencies are you
Thank you.
dividing?
Very easy. This is a genuine government of President HH. Okay? The Electoral Commission will be guided by the Constitution on how many constituencies will be delimited. So how is it and how shall it be that the Electoral Commission should say we are Chipata will be 2 constituencies, Kanchibia, all this, all that, and then they come up with a certain number, yet the Constitution will provide otherwise. It is a simple, logical argument. Let the people, through the Select Committee and finally Parliament, submit how many more constituencies they want in accordance with requirement. Then the Electoral Commission will now be directed to say, oh, okay, you are creating 10 more constituencies. Out of our report, out of our assessment, which constituencies stand top on the pecking order? They fear to think President HH wants to create more constituencies in his stronghold are unfounded. Because I have told you, President HH's stronghold is the whole country. And President HH means well. We are lucky. Me, I'm lucky to serve under him. Because he means so much for me. He means so much for country. To have a president who is not paid, but just wants to see that in his lifetime he changes country. We must treasure this. Yes, we should do politics. Yes, we must differ. But there should be a point where we must say, this is a red line. This is now about country, not about HH, not about UPN. That's where we are. President HH has told this country, after he's done in 2031, Zambia will never be the same again. Because then, country should know, leadership matters. We must begin to place high premium on leadership. That is what President HH brings to the table. And I urge fellow citizens who mean well, those who know that we can be better than where we are now, to support him, because we are supporting ourselves. We are changing our country. Our country is hugely endowed, naturally, and also hugely endowed in terms of us as human beings. We have exported expertise, intellectual expertise to the region and to the globe. Let's do it for ourselves for once.
Minister, it's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you, Krivazio. Thank you.
We'll definitely probably call you again when the bill is passed. I did say this could be your last show this year, but maybe we'll think again.
I'm most grateful for having me, and like to thank those who called and those whose sentiments we may not have responded to. This is a going concern. Thank you so much, and good evening.
You've been watching Sunday Interview, and our guest this evening was the Minister of Information and Chief Government Spokesperson, Honorable Cornelius Mweetwa. I'll be back next week sometime. Pleasant viewing.
How can I help you?
Vanamtale, meet Miss Chilufya from the Public Health Department. She's here to inspect your toilets and hear your concerns at the